Welcome to the next perfect step, where all possibilities lie in conversation. We welcome you today to our topic with Laurie and myself. We're going to talk about a big topic. It's judgment and how we deal with our own experience with judgment. Some meditations. Laurie's had some meditations. I've had some meditations, and not just our thoughts. So, yeah, thank you for joining us. And Laurie, please share what you've done.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Laurie Mullen. I'm an energy practitioner. Yeah, judgment's a big topic, right? I mean, it's not an outward judgment, but a judgment of ourselves too, right? We judge ourselves just as much as we judge anybody else, which is usually what affects us the most is when we're judging ourselves. So judgment's a really big topic, and I think it's so inbred in us. I mean, we judge everything. Our society judges everything. We have a right and a wrong for everything. And so it's a big topic, and one that I think is, open to lots and lots of discussion. But I did meditate on the subject of judgment when we decided this is what we wanted to talk about. So I'll just share some of the thoughts that came through while I was meditating. When we judge, we see what we don't want to be like, to think like, to do, etc. All judgment is seeing the unwanted, but we attach feelings and meaning to judgment, and in turn makes us feel either guilty, shameful, or angry. Why? Because by assigning meaning, we are playing in separation, and separation causes great discord in our bodies. With us, so we start associating these feelings with the feelings that we have already judged as bad. We hurt ourselves with these feelings as punishment, when really all it is separation. If we simply look at another or an action and proclaim, I see that this is not what I want in my world, and not attach to the person, thing, or behavior, there is no judgment. There is only awareness.
Yeah, you had a point about, let's talk about separation, what that means, because I don't know if everyone knows what that entails. But to me, the separation is that our true home is with the divine, that we're all one, and the illusion is this world that we've created in our minds, that we see. The Course of Miracles teaches that what we see is not real. So you were saying you attach meaning to things that are not real. And also, so you mentioned punishment too, is that we think collectively that we separated from our home, with the divine, with our creator. We think that, and that's like the worst thing that we could possibly do. And we're afraid now that we're going to be punished, which is all not true. It's just an illusion. So this whole world that we live in is something we've created. Separated in our small mind is our ego mind, which makes us scared and wants to keep us away from the knowledge of our true home. And the Course also teaches that there's only really two emotions, is fear and love. And so all of the illusions and all of the things that we see that aren't real come from fear. Like you were saying, we feel like we're being punished, or we're feeling depressed or scared or anxious or angry. All of those things stem from the fear and seeing the unwanted. Does that make sense a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're right. That's what I see as separation too. And we all create our own world. So when we see somebody else's world and that's not the world we want, that's okay. But we don't need to judge. They're allowed to have their world and we're allowed to have ours. And we all still come. For me, separation is totally about our separation from Creator.
Right.
You know, we
Thinking that we're
are
separate.
all Creator because He created us to see itself. And so we are all Creator, and yet we feel separate from that. And to me, that's what is separate.
Right. And we're not, there's not other people, you know, we're all actually one. So it's like we're seeing mirrors of ourselves.
Yes and no. So for me, that's not how I see it. You are different from me. God's Creator created you and I to know itself in different ways. So we are different, but we are still Creator.
Mm-hmm. Which is
Which is
what
why I say we shouldn't be judging, because Creator created that. Sorry, my cat just destroyed everything. And Creator's learning something from you and learning something from me about itself. We are both Creator, but we were created to know itself in a different way. So we can be living two different worlds, and yet we are still Creator.
Yeah, and in that sense, we're one.
Right.
Yeah, that's
right.
Different expressions of the one.
Right. Perfectly said. Perfectly said for how I feel. Yeah. Yes.
Right. So thank you for sharing that. And I did a little thinking about judgment as well. And again, I was just saying the judgment comes from fear, fear versus love, and our own mind manipulates and plays tricks on our perception. So I would just I want to share something, experience that I had was with a dear loved one that we were very close. And then there was a situation where I let fear come in and started seeing things, the situation from somewhere totally different that wasn't familiar to me, but didn't feel good. But I was convinced that this was a true situation, and it was actually my own misperception and my own judgment. So that was my experience with judgment, that it was not real. I was seeing things that weren't really there because of my fear. And that was a huge lesson for me, because once I realized that, was able to reconcile with my loved one and, apologize and kind of explain that that's what happened. But, and for me, that was a huge lesson for just staying within the realm of seeing from love, instead of, you have a choice how you see things. You can go that way, or you can go within the realm of love. So that was a huge lesson. It was a painful lesson for everybody involved, but the reconciliation did happen, and I'm grateful for that. And now love is covering all of us in this situation.
Yeah. And that's fantastic.
It feels good. Yeah.
Feels really good, right? So I heard something this morning, and it said that fear and faith are the same thing. It's fear and faith are both unseen that we're asked to believe in. And we have a choice which one we want to believe in. We're both being asked to believe in something unseen. Fear is unseen and faith is unseen. Which one do you choose to believe in?
Yeah, that's important. It is a choice that we have.
Right. they're both the same. They're both, I mean, they're not the same thing, but they're both an unseen thing we're asked to put our energy into, and we can choose which one we want.
Right. Yeah, that's another one of my notes. It says the mind of divine you choose to see with love's vision, which shows you the truth. So you like choice is a big word right here. It's like changing the movie channel. I'm choosing to see this story instead of this one. And the other thing I was thinking was, yeah, the way out of illusion is like you said, to choose the way to see with the divine. And there's also fear and faith, but also judgment versus discernment. Or I mean, we can discern something. We're not asked to just throw out the towel. You know, we can also have discernment, but just choosing which picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And we get a choice to break it down too. So in speaking about fear, like I think about, why would I judge somebody else? Like let's just use an example of, you judge the way somebody looks, right? Most of the time that comes from fear, right? Like I wouldn't want to look like that, or I wouldn't want to act like that, because I would be afraid that other people would be judging me. And then that breaks it all down, right? Like we need to choose that everybody gets to decide for themselves, and we get to decide for ourselves no matter what anyone else thinks or judges, right? And so in turn, we're judging ourselves when we're judging someone else.
Absolutely. We only have control of our own mind. We don't have control over anyone else. Yeah.
Nope. We can't force anyone to feel a certain way or think a certain way. All we can choose is what we do for ourselves.
That's true.
Yeah.
And also you can rely on your feelings. You know, like I was saying, when I was in this misperception, I felt horrible. I really did. It didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right. And then when you come into a place where alignment, I would say, or just a right place, in the right frame of mind, your feelings follow with that. You're going to feel like you know you're doing the right thing, or you know that this is true for you by your feelings as well. It's something that you can trust, I believe.
Yeah, I think it can lead the way, because you're absolutely right. You know when something doesn't feel right in your body. When you're arguing with somebody, or when you're projecting onto someone, it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't feel good in your body. And when you open that space and just say, you know, I'm going to allow this situation to unfold, and I'm going to see what happens, and I'm not going to prejudge, I'm not going to predict, I'm not going to try and control any outcome. It feels freeing. You feel lighter in your body, and you know, and that is the intuition that tells you which way to go.
Yes.
And people don't see that as intuition either, right? We have boxed in intuition to look like a certain something, and I think that that's why some people have problems with that. They don't have the confidence in their own intuition, because it doesn't look like what we've boxed it into. But really, it is following what feels good in your body. And judgment and projection and perceiving doesn't feel good. Arguing doesn't feel good in your body. So it's playing with, like you said, to open up to the more eyes of love. Like, how would love handle this situation, and continue to look for a way that does feel good in your body. And that's the way to go. That's the next step.
That's the choice.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I wanted to read something too from, I think we've talked about this book before, The Disappearance of the Universe by
Yes.
Gary Renard. I just had this
Please.
little thing. Okay. It's talking about how we can, you mentioned intuition, and it's also another word for that, I think, would be what the course terms the voice for God, which is the voice of reason, I guess, and intuition. Thus, the voice is a symbol of the Holy Spirit who is always with you. As you could gather from what was pointed out earlier, the Holy Spirit is not male or female, neither is Christ. Yet Yeshua is using biblical metaphorical language in the course in order to correct Christianity. God's Son or Christ is not a man or a woman. He is your reality. And you are not a person. You just experience that you are. It's at the level of your experience that your training must take place. But you will be led beyond your present experience. And when the Course of Miracles talks about you and your brother, it's speaking about the seemingly fragmented or separated parts of the collective prodigal son, which are symbolized by the false images you presently see. So that story of the prodigal son where, is welcomed back home is symbolic of our return. Well, it says also the separation never actually happened. We just think it did, but we're actually, in reality, we are home. We just have to kind of, as I say, just step out of the matrix, just the false images around us. But it's talking about the voice for God, or to me, that's also intuition, that still voice that you, or the feeling that you have. It's not really a voice, but it's that intuition that you were talking about that we can trust.
Right.
Yeah, that's part
Yeah,
of it.
that was wonderful. Absolutely.
There's so many things, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know anything. It's like, what? There's so much. It's just, but it's one step at a time.
And that's what they say, though. In order to move forward, we have to unlearn what we know.
Yes. Yes. Right.
So the more we feel like that, the more I know we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, it's just that's faith, just taking that next step forward and going, okay, I'm on it, I'm gonna be fine.
Right.
I'll be
Right.
shown what I need to know, and just help
Yeah.
each other along the way. That's important. Do our best.
Yeah, because we're all going through it. We're
Yeah.
all doing it together. It may look different, like we talked about earlier. It looks different for everybody, but it is still the same process.
So,
Yeah, we all have to hold hands and go together. Go to right.
do you have you said you had another
Yeah.
meditation?
So then the next day I meditated again, and this was the what kind of came through in the meditation. And the other side of judgment is what we call jealousy, seeing what we think we want and don't have. Again, a game in separation. There is nothing we want. There is nothing we want we can't have. It is all within us. We just have to get into the energy of what we want, a clear path of past beliefs and thoughts. Let me start over. Sorry. On the other side of judgment is what we call jealousy, seeing what we think we want and don't have. Again, a game in separation. There is nothing we want we can't have. It is all within us. We just have to get into the energy of what we want and clear a path of past beliefs and thoughts and draw it to us. But judgment has us focusing on the lack of something therefore keeping us away from it. All we need to do is thank that thing or person for showing us what we want to call in and sit in the energy of calling it in.
Very nice. Yeah. I like what you said about clearing the path for it to come.
Right.
Clearing our past beliefs and past, which are just, images that aren't even here anymore. The past is gone. Still, all we have is.
It's like recognizing like we want to be a millionaire and then we have all this judgment around millionaires. That's what we have to see. That's what's holding us back from being a millionaire. We can have and do anything we want. We have to clear the path of those old beliefs that are coming up, those old thoughts, those old feelings towards what we want.
Right. Yeah, there's so much judgment, so many things that I think you said at the beginning, a lot of the things that we think about or that we're judging has been taught to us in so many different ways. Like you should do this, you're supposed to do this, this is how it's supposed to be, this is how you should act, talk, speak, think. All of that in so many ways, so many levels has been put into our minds by outside sources that we just accept. And I think I said at the beginning of the year, that was one of my goals, was to sift through delusions and things that weren't true. And this is part of it. The judgment thing is part of it. It's like shifting through all those preconceived ideas, those things that were taught to us that aren't necessarily true, pretty much aren't true. Totally. Yeah.
Right. And I don't think around the concept of judgment, I don't think that judgment is not true. I think that we need to change the way we look at judgment. So we give judgment meaning as being bad, because that's the feelings that come up when we're doing the judging. But if we were to change judgment as to come up as it's showing us something, we are learning something from the judgment, then can we change judgment to be something good? Discernment. Again, showing us something we want or don't want, and we get to learn something about ourselves. Do we have to use judgment in a negative way? Or can we change judgment to be something good? If we change the way we're doing it and we change the way we perceive the judgment.
That's interesting. I think that the way the word judgment is used in this context is that it's showing us things that are in our mind that aren't real. That's what I think is the context of kind of what we were talking about.
Yes, but if I'm judging someone who's rich because I'm jealous of somebody who's rich, that doesn't make it not true or an illusion. The illusion is that I'm not rich. The illusion is I can be just as rich as they are. And isn't that, so that's what the judgment is showing me, as why am I holding myself back?
You're judging yourself. Yeah.
Right. So it's not false, but but we talked about last week how what we know as love on this planet is not really love. It's not the true essence of love. Well, what if the same thing holds for judgment? What if we redefine judgment?
It's a choice, right? It's how you're doing things. Yeah.
Why does judgment always have to be putting something down? Why can't it also be lifting us up? Right? It's showing us where we're holding ourselves back and lifting ourselves up to then become the true and person we are and have everything we ever wanted.
Turning the tables on it.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have one other thing I marked. It's kind of going along with this. Okay, this is about perception. It's this is from the Course in Miracles. Perception selects and makes the world that you see. It literally picks it out as the mind directs. The laws of size and shape and brightness would hold perhaps if other things were equal. They're not equal. For what you look for, you are far more likely to discover than what you would prefer to overlook. The still small voice for God is not drowned out by all of the eagle's raucous screams and senseless ravings to those who want to hear it. Perception is a choice and not a fact. So again, talking about choices.
Yeah. How do you want to perceive it? Good
Mhm.
or but see, good and bad is a perception too.
Yeah.
See, there's just one rabbit hole after another.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
But
that good feeling versus bad feeling that we talked about, right? So when I judge somebody, can I hold it in a good feeling? Or do I continue to hold that judgment around anything in a bad feeling?
and if we're all part of the, we're all you know, created as the son or daughter of God, it's not male or female, but we can see each other in that light instead of seeing each other in the small, because we don't know someone's what they're going through, but we can see them and as they are in their higher self.
So in saying that and going along with what you just said, if we're all created from the creator for it to see itself and learn something from ourselves, why then do we not turn around that to each other? Why am I a creator and you a creator and I'm not learning something from you about myself? Creator created us to do that, then that's how we should be perceiving. Isn't that seeing through the eyes of God, that he's seeing us to learn something about itself, that we too see through those eyes to see you to learn something about myself? Did I make sense at all?
Yes, yes, I agree with that. I think that's very a good attitude to have and a good practice is to, think like that. I definitely think so.
Yeah.
It's big, isn't it?
It is. It is. It is. And we just took the smallest little chunk off the whole topic, but it is big, you know? Yeah.
Just and like I think you mentioned the word awareness earlier too, just being aware of how we're perceiving, what our choices are, just kind of not letting things just wash over us, but just taking charge and noticing what we're thinking about, noticing what our perceptions are and our feelings and our intuition.
Yeah. And to choose to redefine it.
Mhm.
Right? To choose to redefine how we're looking at everything. Why we can choose to grow from things instead of letting everything hold us back.
'Cause
If
we're not
that's a
limited.
choice in perception on how you want to look at everything.
We're limited. We limit ourselves.
We limit ourselves,
We
right?
make ourselves small and um, vulnerable, and we're not.
Right. Right. And we get to discover those parts of where we're doing that and using it to propel us forward instead of holding us back. Instead of just repeating the story, we can redefine it in order to move us forward.
Great. Well, I wonder what our would love to hear some comments like from people what your thoughts are about judgment or what your experience is or what your ideas are. That's a big topic.
Yeah, or anything that we brought up that brings up something in you. I would love to keep expanding this conversation to hear what others' thoughts and conversation is. Absolutely. Laurie, do you have any parting words for us?
Oh, what you usually say in the closing, it's like, let your intuition lead you to the next perfect step. And I think that's a great closing for this topic too. It's just listening to our intuition and loving,
Mm-hmm.
loving each
Well,
other.
that was the, so this morning I woke up and before I even opened my eyes, I heard myself thinking like, now what does all of this mean, right? What's the solution to this? That's what I heard myself say. What's the solution to this? And it was love, love, love yourself. It's not about what is being judged. It's how you are judging yourself. Love yourself is always the solution.
Yes,
Mhm.
perfect.
Yeah. So we'll leave you with that. And as Laurie said, how is your intuition leading you to the next perfect step? Bye for now.